Viewers' discretion advised. We do not intend for this to be hurtful in any way. We just do this. We're basically doing this for our own opinions in order to give out what we feel is good information. Other than that, enjoy the video. Alright, let's just start this off already.
Yay!
These camps, Surge, Flash, and Thunder's FC Rant, Part 2 from the first one, when it was just me and Surge. And now, let's get to work.
Alright then.
Okay, so which one are we starting out with?
What do you guys want to start out with?
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever one, whichever.
I honestly think one of us should start with powers and elements used something.
Okay, yeah. If we're gonna start off with powers, then I'll just do my little 5 to 10 minute or 15 minutes of this, because as of late I've been seeing a good sum of shape-shifting powers in the community, which, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the ability. It's just when it gets to the point of it's becoming common, then there starts to be a problem of shape-shifting powers being either A, too overused, or B, just basically too far into the community that it needs to be toned down just a tad bit. Wouldn't you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think people are overusing elements way too much. I mean, they need to be more diverse with how their powers work. The true problem with them is that they don't give enough explanation or enough unique balance to how their powers should or should work. They just label what power, and most of the time it's just either a generic element or something they ripped off from an anime.
Yeah, like where's the friggin' variety with that? Like, as anyone can agree with me here, there's no variety. Like, it's always just fire, water, air, earth, instead of, phoenix fire, holy water, it's like arc lightning,
there's fire is not a power, water is not a power. You have to be more specific with explaining. Yeah. And I've always heard this excuse. Oh, but it's too long. Well, that just shows you have no imagination. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to kind of go off here for this, but that is the, like, I'm kind of going off topic here by saying this, but that is the biggest bullshit excuse I've ever heard. You don't sit there and tell me that, oh, well, this would take too long to explain. Oh, but my character's really diverse and nice. If your character's so fucking nice and diverse, then why don't you come up with something more original with it? Use your brain. Seriously.
I was arguing with someone, and their character was a Saiyan, and the person's a Super Saiyan, and the person's White Knights were attacking me saying, oh, his character, he uses his imagination, and I'm like, if he was using his imagination, then why is he a Super Saiyan? That's not using his imagination. That's just copy-pasting.
Well, Serge, here's the problem. This is what is acceptable in the Sonic community. Should you decide to make a original character with very nice fluid backgrounds, with very nice powers that are actually unique in their own way, and they actually have a nice, side to them, whether it be light or dark, in their backstories and their problems, that you were fucking shamed. You are put out as an outcast because you dared to take time to put fucking effort into what you did. And yes, I am getting angry on this because I've not gotten a lot of recognition for what I've done. I've created like 5 different multiverses. No, everyone's like, oh, that's too complicated. How can anyone understand that? It's called having a fucking brain. It's called
it's not really even a brain. It's called having common sense.
It's called having fucking creativity. You gotta have that. You can't just sit behind a computer and go.
Instead, all they want to do is make their characters animated.
Yes.
And make themselves into weeaboos.
And the other thing is, going along with what I just said, you are fucking shunned for that. But and all you have to do, this is a, I don't know how many step guide to becoming a respected member of the Sonic quote-unquote community. take a take a hedgehog, give him a werewolf personality, or give him a wolf as a hybrid, give him a really shitty revamp sprite of Shadow, and put Tails' tail on there, one of his tails, then color him a generic red or a green, then go and make a bio about how he got Saiyan powers and how he connects in with Goku and his best buddies with him. Instant fucking fame. You are respected by the community. People will be getting down on their knees to suck you off.
And the same thing happens with any other anime like Bleach or whatever. Anytime someone makes their characters exactly like that or makes them resemble anime, they get instant made. And I
know. It's because it's something people recognize. And the funny thing is even though this sounds a little disgusting for me to say it, people, if they see that thing and they recognize that anime and they see that you're using powers from it, they will just get right down on their knees and get ready to suck you off when you want attention. That's all they do. That's what they love. They love it. They need more shitty anime characters. And I'm sorry if it's offensive to anyone who has anime characters out there as Sonic characters, but you're not doing the community any good favors. I'm sorry. It's either
in fact, it just makes it look like a weeaboo. It's not a good thing at all.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Am I right?
exactly.
Can anyone
and
on that?
Mention, here's the biggest issue. Whenever they try to construct a bio or something, they always claim that they want to do something original or want to do something unique. Yet everything they do is just based off an anime, or everything they do is just wanting their character and story to be like an anime.
Yes, and the one thing, and the other thing I have to go off that is probably going to be funny to some people is literally people, and I'm taking my microphone here. I don't know if you can hear me. People get respect just by doing, and I quote, with their keyboards until people say, "Oh, we love you." I'm sorry.
Basically, and plus not to mention what I've done to what I've seen and what I've done in this community as a member of it. I've personally just made it to where not only am I
I'm sorry. I got to mute my microphone for a moment. Hold.
Okay. What I was basically saying is what I've seen and what I've done in this community, I've literally either A, gotten zero respect for it, or B, it's never been recognized because I'm sorry, I don't go around the entire freaking community on any website trying to look for fans because what I do for my own amusement and for amusement of others so that they do find it amusing, and the fact that what I do for legit fun. There is like nothing in it that makes it to where I am looking for fanboys to just literally be on their knees and praise me like I'm some sort of fucking god.
Yeah, it's like you're sitting there going, oh, we love you. Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing that gets me. It's like when I want to do my story or be constructive or do whatever I want, I do it because I have fun with it. But these people just do it because they want to be noticed or want to be famed. It shouldn't about being noticed, or it shouldn't be about any of that. It should be just about how much you enjoy it.
Exactly. The whole point of here's the big I think I can speak for everyone in communities altogether that the point of joining a fan base is to be a dedicated fan of the fucking base that it was created off of, not to take other fan bases and mix it in. It's dedicated to that pure fan base. What the fuck?
No,
exactly. Like if it's not something fun that you actually want to do, what's the point of you even coming here?
Seriously, yeah. Am I fucking right? Okay.
Sorry. Well, there are some people who are multiple fans of multiple fan bases, but that still doesn't mean that you can intertwine them.
Exactly.
If you want to make an anime, why not just make an anime character and give a generic anime bio that way? That's the whole reason people write these bios of the parents dying, or because they want to resemble an anime. And
Exactly.
they use so many anime cliches. It's like, if you want to make a fan character, why not just make an anime fan character with a generic bio instead of just making a generic Sonic character with generic designs and generic color schemes, and then trying to be your own anime slash weeaboo.
Yeah, maybe that's just me, but the other thing I'm noting about in terms of power aspects is that when people create these powers and they create these, like, you notice at first it sounds like they're actually trying, like they're gonna take this generic power and go a different route with it, but then they don't. They just go, oh, well, it's too hard to come up with something original. You want to know what I tell them? And this is the blunt, honest truth for any of you out there who have done this and just refuse to change it simply because you think that it's too hard. Here's the truth. You're fucking lazy. Get off your ass, out of your seat, grow your imagination a little more by going outside for a while, and then come back and revamp your characters. It's not that hard. I've done it 3 times. The 3rd time is this one. The 3rd time I created 5 multiverses, and these 3 guys, at least, Surge has, heard most of it, and, from the last minute that we tried but failed, I explained for 10 whole minutes about my backstory. You want to know how long that took me to make in the culminating years, because I actually had time
I already know what to reply.
About 3 years. 3 years and 3 times I've revamped.
That's exactly what I keep telling people. I keep telling people, like, sometimes people will want to come up to me and, ask me for help and stuff, which I don't mind, and I appreciate people do that.
Yeah,
but
for some reason, they don't say, they don't.
I tell people that if they want to have a good bio, having a good bio takes time and thought process. It takes you a long time to get the perfect story.
Yes.
But that's another thing. When you're making your character, don't just jot down a story. Take some time and be creative. Go through a thought process and think of things that would be good for it.
Exactly. Like, seriously, is it... I'm not just being a condescending asshole by saying this, but people, is it really, really that difficult to just look at your current story and go, okay, the parents die. What can I do to make them actually mean something to this character? Is that really that difficult? I mean, it's sad. I really want to see these stories develop. But if you just throw this generic schlock bullshit at me, how am I going to like your story if you can't even provide details? You need details on how things connect. It doesn't make sense if you have someone who has a parent come in and that parent's killed off, and then you refuse to say anything on that parent, and that parent is what gave them, this power to do this and why they're fighting for their parent. How am I supposed to feel any emotion for that parent when they weren't there to fucking begin with?
That's exactly what I say with people. It's like, the whole thing with the parents dying, this wouldn't be an issue if they took the time to fledge the parent out as a character. It's like, what do their parents do? What's their backstory? What are their personalities like? What's their impact on your character? The key to making your parents' deaths effective, or making them effective in general, is basically giving them a personality.
And yes,
basically,
you want to make them revolve around your character.
Yes.
Because it helps with character development. You want to basically make people see how it works off of your character.
Yeah.
The people are just basically wanting to copy anime where it's like, oh, the parents died, no explanation. But here's the thing, even in anime stories, the parents at least had some sort of excuse, or at least some personality. And the thing that gets me you can spend your time creating this character, but you don't spend enough time creating the story. I don't really see any difference in the process of creating and remaking your characters in comparison to doing the same thing with the story or other characters.
Because with me, and I'm sorry if I keep talking back and forth with you guys. I just have a lot on my mind on this.
Hold on. I think Thunder was gonna try and say something before.
Yeah, Thunder, you go ahead. I don't want to.
Not really. Not really. You pretty much covered everything. You pretty much covered part of what I said.
All right.
I was gonna say it's basically most I've seen nowadays is just copy paste. All of the bios I've read are just practically the same exact thing. And what's even worse, and what makes it bad is that you guys never contribute to anything. It's like you got whatever. It's like whatever you find, you just slap onto it. That's all. And that's just pretty sad.
Yeah, it is, and like Serge was saying, with these bios and these parents dying and everything, I've seen really good animes where parents have died. But the funny thing is, even in animes like Dragon Ball fucking Z, Bardock, Goku's father is given more depth, and he's only in one episode. One. He's given more depth than anything I've seen in the Sonic fanbase, and it was showing him dying. He didn't barely even say anything. He died. It showed flashbacks, and he got blown away at the end. I actually felt sympathy for him because of how it explained his planet's suffering. That is fucking amazing that they can take an anime that everyone tries to copy with their characters, and yet they did so much more with it in just a small couple of years than these people did in 5 fucking minutes of their worthless time.
Well, okay.
Plus not to mention, whenever they're writing the story, not only is the story have poor transition, it'll start off with the parents dying, then they transition automatically to what happens to their character with such and such power, what happens to their life after their parents die, yet they don't give any transition or build up or any depth as to why they're doing it.
Serge, I'm gonna have to interrupt you for a second. Justin, I'm so sorry. I heard you say something. I didn't mean to.
I know.
Yeah, just say what you gotta say.
It's fine. It's fine.
We don't want to be the only ones talking here.
Well, I know. It's just the fact that what I was actually about to say was the 2 things. One, Bardock actually appeared in 2 episodes. One explaining his backstory. The other one was explaining how he became a Super Saiyan. I'm still wondering how that happened.
Yeah.
Freaking Dragon Balls, he doesn't explain shit anymore. And the second thing was that since Thunder did already say this a bit, what I was actually about to say is that first of all, we did skip from the powers to the bio, but there's another thing I want to say about the bios is that for the most part, when it comes to a character's bio and their powers being one and the same, what I've seen the most, and this completely basically it pisses me off to no extent that when a power is not even explained, it's only just put there as a reference that they do have powers. What I want and what they don't give me just pisses me off because I've asked a couple people one time what their powers actually were and how they worked. What they gave me was a 3-sentence. What they gave me was 3 sentences of complete bullshit. So I was just like, okay, you don't want to explain it? Well,
meaning excuses, that the same exact excuses that go around.
Pretty much, and what I basically said in return is, okay, you're gonna meet one of my characters. Now you're gonna get your fucking head blown up because you didn't bother to explain your fucking backstory. Basically, just take a common rifle, shoot their heads off. That's basically what happens with me because I get so pissed off. But they don't explain what they are.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna speak in the language that the lowest scum of salt of the earth would speak in the Sonic fanbase. I'm a character. I'm a character. I give him fire. They're done.
Lol.
And the thing is, if you're gonna have your characters use fire, be creative with how your powers will work. Oh, but no, the White Knights are gonna be like, "You're being mean. Just stop it." Oh, so you want me to stop
I
telling
love
him?
White Knight. Actually,
okay.
I just love the White Knight states. Lol.
I love how White Knights are like, you just beat me. Stop being a bully.
Okay, so you want me to tell him to
And
stop
this is
being
why we have
bully?
disclaimers.
I'm sorry if I just made anyone laugh at that. It's true though. I've had people say that. I gave a legitimate criticism to someone, and people started attacking me like, "Why are you saying that? No, you're such an asshole. Why don't you just go and do this?" And the person was actually considering my opinion for once. Like I was like about ready to just jump like into a rainbow of joy over this person. This person actually fucking listened to me, and these White Knight keyboard warriors came by, told the person to step back and let them fight the battle for him, and he didn't get a fucking say in it. And they had to come out and tell me
Wait, so
that
the person himself actually took what you said.
yes, he took what I said and fixed
Yeah,
it.
the White Knights are. Oh god.
White
And
Knight's
then they
argument
came
equal
by and
and
was like,
valid.
Asshole, why,
Okay, this is what basically wasn't. This is basically what it was. White Knight argument. Your argument's invalid. White Knight argument. Your argument's even more invalid. So shut the fuck up.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that the one thing this person was going for was one of the most generic powers ever: psychic abilities.
Psychic.
Psychic is actually the most commonly used ability from what I found. I found like thousands of people who use it. It's one of the most common things in existence
It
of OC.
depends on the psychic power. It's mostly telekinesis.
Yes, that's the one I'm pointing out. I told him, well, telekinesis has already been done to death. Like, how about you? And I didn't swear. I wasn't being mean. I wasn't being condescending. I just told him that, why don't you try, like, what else does this character have? And he says, my character has, like, an affiliation with something akin to that of water. He said it's not exactly water, so I thank God for that. But, he didn't just generically label it water. And I said, hey, you know what? Maybe you could take that and mix that with this power and think about it for a while and think about how you want to do it and come back and then reconvey that. And he took that. He came back with a really original power on it. He essentially did something akin to that of water bending from Avatar: The Last Airbender, because it wasn't a complete he didn't completely incorporate anime into it, but this guy did anime with Sonic, dare I say it, correctly. He did not pour every single thing from an anime into it. He took one tiny element from it and expanded it into his own idea. That is what you call creativity, people. You can take something from an anime. I don't care if you take fucking the Kamehameha, alright? Then use that in a character. But you gotta make it your own. You can't just rip it off. You can take that and say it's something completely different, but similar to that. Since you're such a fan of it, I don't have a problem with that. But you have to fucking try and make it your own. I can't express it enough. It needs to be original. It needs to be from your own mind. Can anyone else agree with me on this, or am I like?
Yeah, you pretty much just said everything I was about to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, not to mention.
What a coincidence.
Plus, not to mention, I thank you, Flash, for mentioning Last Airbender and not Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry that this is going off topic, but I have a strong feeling that we're going to have to do a rant about this in the future because from the Legend of Korra episodes I've seen, it's complete shit.
Yeah. I know.
I'm sorry, but Avatar fans, you're better off sticking with The Last Airbender than this.
Yeah, and whatever you do, don't watch M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong's The Last Airbender because that movie sucks balls.
that killed that almost killed the franchise.
Yeah, that killed the franchise for a lot of people.
I think now going back to what we were saying, as in terms of how powers are used, that's actually a very good idea because if you can come up with your own creativity and imagination goes into it, like as per se, I've been looking into a. I'm not sure if you could call this a power or not, but I was actually thinking about something along the lines of having. Well, okay, I do have the same where water and ice are separate because I, from what I've seen in all the animes with that water can turn into ice. I just don't buy it because
Yeah.
because you can't turn water into ice without it being cold enough. So I made them separate. But what I've done with ice as a sort is I've made it to where it mostly works only it works better in cold temperatures than it does in warmer. So basically that's so basically whatever character I have with ice, their powers only work to a certain extent until they get exhausted from the heat. In order to
You know what? I like that. But that just gave me an idea. Here's another example of originality. Now, you said that you'd like to keep ice and water separate.
right.
But think about it this way. What if there was a character that could, for example, say you wanted to create a character that had all four basic elements, as I call them, fire, water, earth, air. But what if all those powers were dynamic? Like, what if you had fire, turn into like, well, okay, and let me give a better example because water and ice. What if you had the water turn to ice in certain conditions and then have it turn to water in other conditions? Like, imagine climate control elements. Like, imagine it that way. Weather controlled elements. Like, that would be perfect in my opinion. Expanded upon, but it needed to be expanded upon, but that sounds like a good idea to me.
Right, which is basically what I did with one of my characters. I already have the idea down. It's just that the character likes certain elements over another in certain conditions. Because the character is Arrowshaft, the Hedgefox, my basically rebel character, as I like. He's one of four of that I like to call. What he basically does is that in hotter climates, he basically uses fire or wind the most. In more colder climates, he likes to use water or earth. Earth he can use in both, but he doesn't like using earth either way.
Yeah.
And so it just basically makes it to where he likes picking elements depending on the situation he's in. Now, what basically makes it hard for a person to do that is they have to figure out everything about the terrain. It's like if they're going into like say, oh I don't know. It's like okay, right now it's winter in the U.S. Basically,
Yep.
So like if they go from here to like say South Africa to the very southern tip of Africa, and it's completely hot summer there, and they don't know that, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage because they don't know what elements to truly use until they finally get there. When they finally get there, they're screwed.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking is that a perfect example would be, what if someone, again, say you were on a sandy beach area as opposed to a rock area, you wouldn't be able to take the sand and make it a solid mass because it's not like it's one big chunk of earth. You like, the interesting thing would be is if you had a rock face near you that you could take a rock from, but you could only use something with it one at a time. So you pull a temporary sand wall up to just drop back down, since you can. Yeah, Dad? Not right now. I'm recording something real quick. I'm sorry. Cut that. I'm sorry. We can cut that out. But essentially, if you you would throw up a temporary sand wall that would fall down after a short amount of time. Like, you throw it really high into the air, but that sand will be able to like diverge anything, like, for example, bullets. Like, bullets could be disintegrated through the sand or something. But then as that happens, you can deactivate the wall and it would drop down, and then you could pick up that solid mass of rock and throw it through the sand instead of trying to make it nonsensical and like make everything one big ball. Like it should be limited that way. Like you should only be able to use it on one thing at a time. So if you want to throw a water ball at someone and then throw fire at them or something like that, say you wanted to pick up oil and then throw fire at them to light them on fire, you would only be able to throw the oil at first, then you'd conjure the fire and throw the fire at them. You wouldn't be able to do it both at once.
Well, exactly. That's what I basically did there, Chat. But here's the thing. With the whole sand thing, what I basically seen doing that, and I'm not sure if this is actually complete physics or not, but I actually did this with him once. I pictured the scenario in my head. I had him in the Sahara facing one of his opponents, and basically he lights the sand on fire, making the sand complete glass, and then basically tries to make the wind throw them up and have them smash through the glass. That's basically what I pictured because. But I'm going to
go, before we go on to the next topic, because we do want to get this speedy, but I'm going to say this real quick before we do. With that, I think that'd be, from my perspective, with my perceiving knowledge of power logic, as I'd call it, his hand would have to be like molten hot. Like it would have to be melting. And I'd have to, in order to make it glass, because it would take time to put if he just lit his fist on fire and punched the ground and made it glass, I'm sorry to say, that doesn't really work.
Right.
What you would have to do is you would have to charge heat in a certain area, maybe not in his body, and then just let that all surge through the ground and then turn it to glass, because he'd have to melt his whole arm. There has to be some kind of logic behind it. That would be like volcano temperatures.
Right. That's what I was thinking, because when I finally went through it and I finally realized how stupid that sounded, I just completely dropped the idea, because sand in itself can be a very deadly element.
For example, you could actually have him create, now instead of having his hand go on fire, he could create a molten hot fireball that could be like tiny, that could be small or something like that, from the heat in the air. And because you could do that with friction and everything, you could light something on fire real quick, and he could take this little fireball, but when he shoots that into the sand, something could happen where if he shoots it forward, it'll go through the sand and dissipate, but the sand will fly towards the opponent and then freeze as a giant ice, like a giant jagged thing of glass, sorry, not ice, glass, and impale him with it or something. I think that sounds cool if you took that and just,
Right, and that's why. Well, also not to mention, I also have another villain of mine who does actually use sand as an ability, but she can only use it in desert regions, because sand off of a beach doesn't work as well as sand as in the desert.
Yeah. Okay, well, Justin, I am sorry to essentially go off the topic now, but
right, we really do need to move along.
The next thing I have on my mind that we should discuss while I still have it fresh in my head is weaponry.
Oh God!
Oh boy. Okay, you ready? All right, get ready. This is gonna be a little bit of a long one.
You guys start.
Say whatever you have to say, even though it's gonna take.
First of all, weaponry. Fucking use it. Don't.
99.9% katanas. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and no, like I said, weapons. Fucking use them. Katanas are not your only source of weaponry. In fact, I'm gonna now point out to you guys all the weapons that I can think of at the current moment, starting from smallest to whatever I can think of. You have sleeve daggers, like assassin daggers. You have small one-handed daggers. You have two-handed daggers. You have knives. You have short swords. You have long swords. You have broadswords. You have claymore swords. You have Zweihanders. You have bastard swords. You have spears. You have halberds. You have javelins. You have bows. You have pistols. You have shotguns. Frickin' assault rifles. Magnums. You have frickin' clubs. You have maces. You have spiky shields. You have different styles of Japanese katanas. You have different styles of old medieval weapons. And you have slings, you have freaking old style one-shot rifles. You have all of this good shit that you could be using, and what do you resort to? A shitty little Katana. What? Okay, like seriously. Like,
Okay, this is all I'm going to have to say before you go on to your next point. The only reason people use katanas is because of anime. They don't use them in the ways that it would make sense or would be effective. They only use them because it's anime. And
it seems cool, and really, these people never take rule in diversity with these multiple weapons.
yeah, and you guys just heard all those weapons I said, right? That's a pretty big list.
Oh God,
Yeah,
I'll leave the rest to you. I'll leave the rest to you, Flash.
One person at a time here, okay?
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, sir. I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll just leave the rest to you, Flash, since you have a lot to say about this.
okay, so essentially, what I'm going to go over right now is the style of weaponry. You know, here's the thing. Serge, you heard me talk about my two newest community-based characters. Community meaning I want people's help with them. I need help with the physical design because I'm kind of all burnt out from coming up with my 8 other characters. If you guys have seen my Miss Alley Pie's drawing of them, thank God she did those. I'm so glad she did those for such a cheap price. I had so much trouble with them, and I'm trying to community-base these where I ask people what I should do with physical designs. And here's the thing. One of my characters uses a long tanto. Now, for those of you, I'm going to go into a little bit of history with this, weapon history. A tanto is essentially a katana knife. It's essentially a short, straight, or curved edge knife katana. It's like a katana cut in half with a short handle. Now, this character, though, uses the tanto and has it seem like it's a medium short katana. Like, it can reach a human about a couple feet in front of him, essentially. It's enough to get someone that close. But his name is Zetsu Enyarikin. He's also called the Scarred. I don't remember exactly what that means in Japanese. I saw the word, but he is based off of feudal Japan Bushido art style of fighting. He uses this katana as I pull it out, I make a couple movements, that's it. Fight is done. He does not do this flashy bullshit where he pulls his sword out and wastes all his energy just swinging it like a fucking monkey would trying to get a banana out of a tree, trying to hit someone when he knows it's going to be futile. And he follows the code of, seppuku as well. If he loses, he's going to kill himself with his own weapon. But luckily, he's never lost. But the whole point I'm making here is there needs to be a style you use with it. If your character, for example, is an Asian character like Zetsu is, then you need to have them have a certain style with it. You can't just take a style from, you can't take a modern day Navy SEAL, assault rifle and give it to a feudal Japan samurai. They're not going to know what to do with that. They don't want to choose to have any knowledge of this bullshit that they're seeing. They just think that this is ridiculous and that they can take those guys down. And they can. And the funny thing is that Zetsu has taken down, I'm putting this out there, by the way. Zetsu can take down a group of Navy SEALs without even fucking trying because he knows how they fight. They fight by shooting things. They don't give effort. They just go, and believe it or not, I respect the SEALs a lot. I'm not bashing the real SEAls. I'm bashing how, people view them in a way. But essentially, the way people viewed samurai was that they were, that's ridiculous. They killed each other with one swift movement. How could they do that? It's called practice. They use styles, and the style that Zetsu uses is a style of kendo, which is the art of the sword. Now, normally with kendo, you have a shinai. A shinai is a wooden bamboo katana. Now, I'm going off of this because it is an actual style as well, with actual katanas that are used in bladed combat. It's called Naki-sama. Naki-sama is the style of Japanese sword fighting where you wait for your opponent to attack, then you counter their blade, or you counter them by avoiding their attack or by knocking their weapon or by catching them in some way, then a quick couple slashes, they're dead. That's essentially how you do it, and You change it up each time you do it. That way they can't predict what you're going to do. And the whole thing is that that's also a mercy style. It doesn't immediately kill. You can choose to leave the person alive and shame them, quote unquote, or you can kill them and give them honor in the eyes of the Bushido code. That took time for me to research, keep in mind. It took time for me to come up for that. And it's just the fact that I didn't want to make Zetsu an Asian character just because I want to make a samurai. I made him because I needed two other characters to go with my cast because there was so much diversity already with each of them, where they came from. Because, I mean, you had Shah Rukh Khan was like from First Civilization, almost primal beings. You had, along with Laser and Dash, from that time. Then you had Elena, who was Egyptian. You had Alyssa, who was Irish. You had Dara, who was Spanish. You had Laura, who was German. You have all these things, and you have all these different diversities, and they all fit with the weapons they use. Like, Dara uses a rapier, a weapon that no one uses. A rapier is literally one of the best weapons you can use against someone who likes to flail their fucking swords around. Because all you have to do is poke them, and you can leave a clean hole through them, and they won't be able to move a part of their body again because of that. My whole point is you need to have a style of weaponry, and you need to keep to that style if you're going to use it, because having someone have a katana just swinging it around like a fucking maniac, that katana's going to break. I don't care what material it's made out of. You can't just clash blades with a katana, okay? It's not going to work that way. Katanas aren't made to clash with giant claymore swords and Zweihanders, which, by the way, I'm just going to go off this real quick. Weapon, anatomy, I shall say, to these people is fucked. Because when a lot of people see a katana, they think this fucking giant, 10-foot long blade. A katana is only like 3 feet at most. It's not even that. It's not even, it's a little bigger than that, I have to say. But the longest katana you can get is a muramasa, and a muramasa is literally my height. I'm 5'6", almost. That thing is nearly my height, counting the handle. That's the longest you get, but people think they need to have some big flashy ass black, or holy silver white katana that's 10 feet long, as if they're trying to compensate for their dick being huge or something. I don't know, but take of that what you will. But and again, Serge can back me up on this. When I talked to him about my two characters a couple days ago, I mentioned another character who I called Ivor Muteki. He's nicknamed by Zetsu as the Invincible. And Ivor uses a Zweihander, and a Zweihander is literally a handle with a blade on top. You hold it with two hands. Zweihander means dual-handed. Dual-handed. It doesn't even have blade. It just says dual hand. You have to use momentum with each swing by holding your hands on the both handles and swinging in wide cleaving arcs. That is how you use a Zweihander. And I was going to go into powers before with Ivor and Zetsu, but I might just do that another time. I might add that as a side thing to this later. If I decide I want to record something, since I don't want to eat up all your time, I'll record it and add it as a side thing, saying that this is something I wanted to add as extra, which would be a good idea. But overall, my whole rant is that you need to have diversity in weapons, otherwise your logic is completely flawed. And I'm just going to explain this. People, I run off of a system called power logic. Power logic is essentially a system where if a power or a weapon does not work with someone's personality or how their story is set up or how they are themselves, what they like, what they don't like, who their friends are, then it doesn't work. It shouldn't work that way. That weapon should not be used or that power should not be used because it doesn't fucking fit. What's the point in having it if... Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. But what's the point of having it if you sit there and just mindlessly say, my character can use this sword because he can? No. You have to think. You have to take the time, use what I call your head meat, your brain, and think of ways you can make the weapon work. Don't expect people to just accept it, although people do, blindly. But don't expect people like me and these three right here to accept it, although I'm not trying to speak for you guys, to accept it when you're not trying, when it doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure these guys would think that my system makes sense, because I think if it doesn't fit with the character, don't use it, because you're gonna get hate for it. It's gonna not do well in the long run, and it's never gonna work with the style that you're going for. You don't have like a big dude use a tiny dagger and then don't explain why he has the dagger if he's like 400 pounds worth of muscle, like Ivor is. Ivor uses a giant weapon because he's a giant guy and he has enough momentum to swing it with his own style, and he's strong enough. It also deals with his personality of being a huge motherfucker. He is 5 feet, he's like 5'7" compared to Sonic, okay? I'm going by those height standards. He's fucking huge. And he uses that as to his advantage, hence why he chooses heavy weaponry. See, there has to be an explanation. That's a basic version of my explanation. I could go on for hours, but I'm not going to go on, because I want to give these three a chance to talk, because I've pretty much, just like the last rant we tried, which failed in the end because of a glitch. It's not anyone's fault, but I pretty much took all the time to talk here, and I'm kind of like running my mouth at this moment, but I think that's all I have to say on it. I'm sorry I took so much time to do it. I'm not sure how long I took there.
I do believe that was about 6 to 8 minutes, but you did actually cover a lot, and we do thank you for that. But the only thing I have to add to the whole weapons topic, which is why I wanted to speak last, is that not only do you have to give an explanation of why they have the weapon or how they use it, actually add in how many years they took to train themselves in the art of the weapon.
Yeah, like Zetso,
Exactly.
Yeah, like Zetso has been using his blade. If you're gonna go by the actual, nobody knows how. I'm making it ambiguous or vague as to how old they are. You can take a guess. It's in the triple digits. I'll tell you that much. How long they're living. Spoilers. But Zetso has trained for nearly I'm just gonna point this out. 150 years worth of his own time to use his blade night and day. Ivor, and I explained this to Serge, this is why it made sense for him to be so powerful, he literally trained 24/7 for nearly 40 years of his life, and then some. God knows how much longer he did it. That's all he has on record. And he took, possibly as an estimate, nearly 250 years to learn how to fight with nothing but his body, his bare hands, and that big-ass sword of his. He took so long, and that's why these two are unbeatable. Not because I've made them invincible by giving them a power. Hell, they barely have powers as it is. But because they trained hard enough.
Exactly.
That's what I'm pissed about.
The weapon.
Yeah.
Okay, basically, the weapon is not the weapon. The body is the weapon. The weapon is just a mere tool that they use to extend their killing. Which is why, okay, this is what I have to explain with my knights as such, with my knights and warriors. Sword training is no easy feat, and each sword that each and every single one of them uses is completely different from another. Because going back to what I was explaining to Flash earlier before we started the rant.
Yeah.
Going back to my whole destiny and destruction argument, was the fact that the swords that each one of them used, Havoc, the Warrior of Destruction, uses a combination of a two-handed sword and a bastard sword, and Jarver uses a combination of a long sword with, what was it again? It was a long sword with something else, but I can't remember what it was. It wasn't exactly a different type of sword. It was sort of here it was. It was basically a combination of a long sword and a basically whatever you call a miniature.
A Tonto.
A Tonto, yeah, basically that was it. It was a combination of a long sword and a Tonto because the end of the sword is actually curved. The rest is the complete long sword, but at the end it's curved up slightly in order to give him some kind of a hook.
Yeah.
To use. A hook which also cuts because both sides of the blade are sharp.
It's a double-edged sword, essentially.
It's a double-edged long sword that has that's a combo with a tanto. Yes, basically, and it took them several years. It basically took each of them at least 110 years both to master the weapons because a man does not simply master a weapon at all. They were still learning by that time, but okay, I will admit these two are since it was so long ago, and since it was before most time of civilization, they were able to live so freaking long. I won't tell you their exact age because if I did, you'd be like, what the hell? So I'm just gonna keep it at that.
Yeah.
And plus,
and I think that as much as I want to keep going on it, we are, like you said, nearly 44 minutes in, probably past that now.
We're up to 50.
Yeah, so I think that the last topic we should go on, and if we want to, I say that if we don't get in what we want to get in here, then we can always go back and put in a side note later, like make an extras thing video of this one or something if you want. That's completely up to you guys because I'm always here to do this. That's why I named the Skype group the Four Rantketeers. I know that's a lame ass name, but still.
Hey, better than the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that. The last topic I think we should go on is the me wanting to wanting me to tear a new one into a specific one. Yep, Justin, you got it right in the chat. Slutty FCs and no C's.
Oh my God, not
By slutty, you already know what we mean by those female fan characters you
Gotta have, and I can sum it up like this: ass and titties, ass and titties. That's all it is. Am I right?
Basically.
Yeah, I mean they're so bad that. Yeah.
I love how when it comes to female fan characters, they automatically think, "Oh my, let's have big boobs," and then.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest here. Only one of my characters is really what my female characters, like if Surge, I think I showed you all of them. I think the only two that are really good, not horribly well because that would be unrealistic, but that are good endowed would be Elena and Alyssa, especially Alyssa from what you saw. In fact, Alyssa's the only one well endowed. That does not take away from their characters. It's just how I came up with their design. You don't have to be a pervert when you're making a female character. I literally made my female characters as how I think they should be made. They shouldn't be unrealistic with curves all over the place because again, that's too many curves and it gets kind of nasty. But just because I will add out, just because you add a big ass or a big pair of gazongas on a girl's character, that shouldn't be the only deciding factor on what they are. If you actually what?
Honestly, it just makes you look. To me, it just makes you look desperate when it comes to just adding perverted stuff to a female fan character.
Yeah, if you're just adding it for the simple sake of adding it so you can be at your computer looking at your own character, which is fucking creepy, by the way. No. But if you want to sit there and I'm gonna be a little nasty here, jack off to your own character. Good for you. You can do that if you want, but that's not why you should be making a character, you sick motherfucker. You should be making a female character to make her an actual dynamic female character. And the funny thing is, you can even be a little joking with it. Now, of course, I'm a guy, and I get to be a little perverted.
Like that. And I want to say that just because a character is sexually liberated or wears revealing clothing, that doesn't make them a whore or anything. But the reason why we're getting onto these is because all they want to do is make their female sex objects or make them constantly do nothing but have sex. And the thing is, it would be okay if they wanted to have sex, but the thing is, they don't have anything to back them up or any reason for it. They just do it to be blind fan service.
Hell, none of these female fan characters even have bios.
None of them. Almost, anyways.
All their bios amount to, it's just the typical paragraph Or they pretty much just use their bios as an excuse to get their fetishes online to say,
I
oh,
know.
I'm in love with Sonic, so I'm just going to make up a bio just to excuse my fetish on the internet.
Oh no, and okay, I don't mean to point fingers at certain people, but I'm pretty sure there's two people you can go off of with this. Well, one anyways, and God, Dahlia, what? I don't know what I just said there, but
Princess Elizabeth, looking
well, not just her, but I'm specifically mentioning the one I just mentioned. The other thing I hate is like, although she's one of the many people to do this, like you said with a fetish, I'm just gonna point out right now, you have problems if you think that if you love Sonic so much that you make a female character based specifically off you or like a sexualized
just to jack off of
you, just to fuck him in an imaginary RP and to like enjoy it as if you're getting off it in real life, dude. I'm just gonna point out to you, nope.jpg. No.
exactly like I said earlier.
Close. But
just like I said earlier, it makes the person look desperate.
Yeah, it makes them look desperate.
Exactly, and then when you call them out, they act like complete fuckwits about it.
They're like, man, my character's not a slut, she has 16 girlfriends, that's not being a whore. Oh, really?
Okay, so a whore's gonna say she's not a whore by being a whore. What do you think? What's the implications there? I don't get your logic.
Like, seriously, they're sitting there and they're like, well, she may fuck them 24/7, all 16 of them almost all at once. I totally get off that. They may do that, but it doesn't mean that she's a slut. That's their logic. She's not a slut if she has these 16 boyfriends. Use your head.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, this is basically the logic. Has no bios or personality. And yet still claims that she's not a slut.
Big titties and big ass, that's all people want. That's it.
Well, okay. I originally said that I was not going to say anything on this topic because if I do...
And you just thought of something, I'm guessing.
Well, basically, yeah. I had no ideas what to say. But going back with the whole almost all female characters don't have bios, I actually have to say I've been working with my female characters. I only have a few because mostly they contribute a lot to the story, and plus, not to mention, the ones I made were either A, supposed to be with my other characters that I don't really, or either B, it's to be there for the sake of the story to continue.
Well, Justin, the whole point is, I don't mean to interrupt you here. We weren't really talking about all female FCs. I think Thunder or whoever said it meant to say.
All is a strong word. We're talking about majority.
We're talking about majority in terms of the subject we're talking about.
Right.
If it's a good female FC and OC, good. That's fine.
Right. But that's why I said almost. That's why I said almost all girl FCs.
Almost all. That's practically the same as majority. Like
basically, and what I was actually getting on saying is that what I see in a lot of female characters who do this is either A, they're doing it just for the attention, or B, they just basically want to do it because they feel as though that since they have no lives and they can't actually get a boyfriend in real life, that they should try it online.
And the funny thing is, some of these dumbasses will actually go to them and actually try and be an internet boyfriend.
Exactly.
That's a fucking travesty.
And yeah, that, like, really? Seriously? I don't get it. It's like, if you're going to make your character a sex object, at least be relatable. Like, at least have a reason for them to be like that, or at least use it effectively. Don't just use it for a fetish or for attention, because that's just really stupid.
And some people actually make, like, I don't want to tell you guys how many times I've looked up Sonic OCs. I go to Google Images, And I can't even speak of the horror. All I can say is this, guys. Rule 34. Rule 34 everywhere. I see dicks.
If
Dicks
it exists,
everywhere.
it has porn. That's all I gotta
Rule
say.
Okay, the official Rule 34 of the internet. If there exists, there's porn. There's porn of it. I'm sorry, a cup just fell. That was perfect, though.
Well, okay. This is my analogy of that. Dicks and sluts everywhere.
Exactly.
That's basically what it comes down to.
I'm pretty sure one day, I don't know when, here's the thing. I don't mind if you do hentai as, like, a joke, as if you're, like, doing it to see what people say about it. Yes, I'm sorry, 1 hour mark. But you can't sit there and take it seriously when someone like Akai Dahlia, which he's never gonna see this, so it doesn't matter if I mention her name. If Akai Dahlia sits here and fucking talks about how about her character isn't a slut when half her gallery is Sonic raping her. Like, I'm sorry, but that's taking it a little too seriously, don't you think? And have her have pregnancy pictures and stuff like that.
Not to mention that I have a serious hate for Sonic Couple fans.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Oh God, don't even get me started on the ones who deliberately just make their characters to pair them up.
So many.
And it's like, I don't see why people always have the need to pair their characters up. It's like...
I just mean that people take fiction too seriously.
Right.
Like, the thing is, they don't even create a character for their character. It's always Sonic, Shadow, or Silver. That's all.
Whereas with me, and I hate having to constantly use myself as an example here, but I just feel like I have my thoughts collected here as I say it. But you, Serge, you have seen Miss Allie Pie's pictures, right? I showed you them, right?
Yes.
All right. Did you think that those females were good enough? Like, from what I came up with?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that another thing Serge pointed out was that, like, unlike these females who were created with generic clothing and, like, lingerie and just creepy ass shit wearing, like, I even saw them with a gimp suit. No, just fuck no. Clothing, again, if you're gonna make a character who wears revealing clothing, and this doesn't go just for females, it goes for all characters. If you're gonna make clothing for them, make clothing that fits them. Don't make clothing that's just, like, generic. Like, don't give a punk badass dude a generic, like, leather overcoat or whatever. Give him something that actually fits what he is. Like, don't, like, for example, when you saw Miss Allie Pie's picture of Dash, I might, like, if you go to my gallery, I'm Ancient Alpha Gear on DA, if you look me up or whatever, you'll see in my gallery that I favorited all of Miss Allie Pie's pictures that she made of my characters since I requested her to do them for a very nice price, by the way. She's very nice. But she made my characters with clothing that mattered. For example, on a Shah Rukh Khan, he likes to be a very serious businessman, but he also likes to take it back and loose a little bit. So what does she do? She gives him a red work shirt, like an undershirt that you wear under a tuxedo, but she gives him a loose tie. And, like, slightly loose jeans, but tightened boots. That works. And with Dash, she gives him a shirt with, like, a cog or a wrench on it because he's a mechanic. It may seem simple and stupid to people, but it makes sense because of what he is, what they do, And he wears construction boots, and he wears, aviator goggles, but it's just because of what he does. Even Laser wears a shirt that, even since he's kind of a mad scientist in a way with plasma, he has kind of a weird thing with plasma, like a drug addiction almost. That's where it gets kind of dark. I'm not going to go into it since we want to hurry this up, but I'll just say his shirt has the word science on it, like science, that kind of thing. And he wears a lab coat. He wears a short lab coat. That's funny because he actually focuses on it. And with Alyssa, Alyssa is my most revealing character, I guess you could say. All she wears is she wears long pants, boots, and a tank top. That's the most revealing my characters have ever gotten. but she wears a tank top that does, that doesn't show a whole lot, but you can tell she's definitely endowed. But she wears light equipment like that because she is a she's an old style Italian, like a Italian kind of assassin in a way. Like she like takes inspiration from that time period and from that kind of way, the way certain people did things back then. Because for some reason they seem to have a bit of history with assassinations in Italy, like kind of how France had their whole thing with cutting people's heads off. In Italy, they actually had some problems with that, at least from what I know.
Welcome to the French Revolution, people! You're about to get your head cut off.
The terror. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm sorry I had to get close to the mic there, but that's basically how I feel about it. The French Revolution was a time of people losing their heads, and you could not walk anywhere without falling over a falling crown.
Exactly. And the whole thing over is that you'd think that, I mean, with me, I make sexual jokes just like any guy, but my characters make jokes like that when it's appropriate, not just to mess with them and like get all hey baby, kind of thing. They do it when it's warranted.
Funny.
Like for example, when Alyssa makes a joke about how she has to wear a tank top and barely anything underneath, Giggles, being the Joker he is, will make a joke like, "Well, that can't be all bad for those who actually see you, those who actually see you running." Get it? Because she's got big ones, so she's gonna be bouncing as she runs. He makes a joke like that, and she beats the shit out of him for it. That's funny because it's warranted at the time when people are okay with it. That's fine with me. I don't look at it from a perverted point of view. I look at it from a point of view that it's what someone would actually say. Sorry about that. I hit my desk.
And basically, I think we should get around to just wrapping this up because we're already an hour and 6 minutes in. And I do believe it's finally time that we end it off.
Yeah, and I just want to
think we should. We'll make another part, of all the things that we missed or wanted to talk about. We'll just make it into another part.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was about to say we should add an extras video, kind of, to cover things we didn't get to cover. Considering most of the time, I'm sorry to those out there. I'm sorry that you want to hear the others' voices. I feel bad because I talked almost half the time.
I help people. If anyone needs any help, just come to any of us. We'll be glad to help.
Like if you need help with a good style of weapon, or if you need help coming up with a style of a certain a certain aspect of parental storytelling, with the whole adult or even dark side. Because again, I don't know if I mentioned, but my characters have drinking problems that really extend to the story and drug problems that extend to the story. If you want to come up with anything like that, then let me know because I'm really good at that. I'm not saying these guys aren't, but I've been able to collect my thoughts more on it. And again, if you need help with any styles of weapons, ask me. But if you need anything with anything else, ask these guys. They know what they're talking about. Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we can basically just finish this off. And as per our outro, this has been Thieves Camp, aka Justin the Hedgehog, and I'll let these guys do theirs. And I have a little message to say here at the end, but it's only going to be me, so...
Alright, so you guys say what you need to say real quick. I gotta catch my breath.
Surge, Thunder, your guys' closings?
Wait. Our ending... I don't really have a closing this time.
Oh my god.
Basically, Surge Master 2012 and Thunder Animations and
Ancient Alpha Gear from DA, a man who's trying to see hope in the fan base but constantly loses it because of stupid people. Sorry.
Alright, and
we'll see you guys next time, I guess.
See you later!
Later!
Later.
Oh. Alright, basically, as per my little ending, I feel as though that even though this has gone on for another hour, I'm deeply sorry about that. I kind of feel that there has to be a small matter addressed here. that when we do these, I don't want people to feel offended at all. Just to the fact that I already have enough on my plate, and you won't be expecting much from me on either my YouTube channel or on my DA, either one of my DAs for a long time, because I have too much on my plate. My homework is getting out of control. And well, I guess you can say that even though I'm just too much to handle right now, I just want to let you guys know that you're here over here where I am, and as the basically owner of Thieves Camp Productions and everything, or I like to call it Thieves Camp Productions because of the videos I make. I want to wish you guys a happy holidays, for I fear that we won't be able to get another video out until maybe Christmas or maybe later. I'm not sure, but I want to wish you guys, I hope that you guys have had a happy Thanksgiving. I wish you all a good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If we don't get anything out by then, if we do, it'll be up. But other than that, I wish you all goodbye from the bottom of my rusted heart and of my busted back. The reason why I said rusted heart is because I feel as though I have let a lot of people down, and the fact that I'm having problems with other people in my school that I do care about a lot. So if they're hearing this, or if they're watching this at all, I hope to God that with this time that we are spending, not talking, not even considering to acknowledge each other, that our wounds will have healed, and that we, as individuals, can find a way to work out our differences, finally start getting to know each other's personalities a hell of a lot better, and basically that's it. I am in deep regret for what I did, and I hope that you can find it in your own hearts to forgive me. Though I'm not addressing to people this is only to people of my class. This is not to people of any other classes. For class of 2015 of Avavell Morek, I bid you all sorry for all the years that we've spent together in utter chaos. And I hope that we can find a way to use the rest of this year to review it. And I bid you all a nice goodbye.